Hello world and welcome to the video. I'm Jesse Podybone and I'm gonna do like story time today to tell you why I think you should vote for Sherae Lascelles for the 43rd District, second position in Washington State Rep. It's a mouthful, but you know, that's politics. This is a little bit longer of a video. I tried to write it in a way that was concise and really get it down because I really wanted to deliver the perfect message. But at the end of the day, the election, our ballots are in our homes already. They've been mailed out and they need to be mailed back soon. So I need to get this video out and I don't have time to make the perfect message. But, you know, I feel in my heart that Sherae is going to move on to past the primaries and into the generals, and we'll have another chance to vote for Sherae, and I'll keep workshopping this video script that I have and get it more concise. So I'm sorry that this is a longer video. I'm also sorry that Brady was here and now he's on the ground and you can't see him. I want to start by just giving a shout out of some amazing endorsements for Sherae. Sherae's been endorsed by the one, Nikita Oliver, also by the one, The Stranger, the publication, also by some other really amazing community organizers, some people that I look to for news about what's going on in our community, the work that's being done on the ground, the solutions that are being pushed, and like the values that are being shared. Like those are the people endorsing Sherae, because Sherae's been working with those people, because Sherae's an amazing community organizer. And I am lucky that I have a unique way that I met Sherae, and that is what I want to share with y'all today as a way to illustrate the values that I think Sherae uniquely holds that will make them amazing in Olympia. So vote for Sherae. Here's my story. I made a video telling people who to vote for city council a year ago. And in that video was the primaries, so like literally a year ago. I endorsed someone for each district, and I told y'all not to vote for the candidate that Sherae was working on the campaign for, Melissa Hall, in District 5 or 6. I need to check my notes. This is why I script videos. I told people that even though Melissa was the candidate that shared our values, because people watch my videos, they share certain values, and we're able to have discussions because of it. Even though Sherae shared our values Sherae does share our values, but even though Melissa shares our values, she doesn't have the votes, and so therefore you should vote for this other person who's a little bit of a compromise, but compared to the other person who has the most votes, you know, it's all strategic. The video is coming out like a week before we needed to vote, and I knew I didn't really have time to I hadn't done the work to organize, to get out the vote, and to like sway things, so I really just needed to be transparent, like full disclosure, this is the situation. And I get a message from Sherae on Twitter, and Sherae was like, hey, you didn't use the right hashtags, so it was really hard for me to find your video. And I was like, that's a good point. I've only been here for a year. However, now, as of today, I've also been here for a full other year, and I still don't know the right hashtags, so might be. And then Sherae was like, thank you for like at least giving a shout out and kind of explaining the situation. I think you're wrong. But also, do you want to come to our results watch party and talk about this in person? And I was like, oh my God, this is so scary. Usually when I get messages about my videos, it's hateful messages. I get a lot of death threats, and y'all don't see them because I report them and remove them from my channel, but I make videos about politics and ballot measures, and I, to this day, still get death threats on one of my ballot measure videos about a gun control measure in Washington in 2018. So almost 2 years later, I still get death threats on this video. So that's the kind of fun times that I have online. And so I was like, this is super intimidating that this person is like calling me out in a very earnest and genuine way. Not like calling out, but like calling in, like, hey, come have this conversation. And I almost didn't go, but I was like, most of the engagement I get online is hateful, so I should probably acknowledge the people who genuinely engage with my content in the way that I want to, because I make content in like a way that I hope is able to like just connect with people and kind of cut through like the extraness and the overexcitement and just like have a conversation about our lives and our values and like the reality of the world. So I went, and I was so afraid. Also because like I'm full of self-doubt in my own content, making, and it's scary. And so I challenged myself to push myself out there. And I'm so glad that I did. Sherae and I had some really good conversations. But I think that I already was learning one of Sherae's amazing strengths, and that is that they are genuine and earnest in their fight for our communities. And, you know, when people don't have those genuine connections, they might not know the best ways to show up for their community, and therefore they perform. And a lot of times what that looks like is like outrage online, and it's performative and not real, or it's, you know, exaggerated and not helpful a lot of the times. I think there is a place for like calling people out in funny and ridiculous ways online if you're also doing the legwork for your community in ways that are actually like mattering. Otherwise you're just talking online, you know what I mean? And Sherae was like, hey, like, I see that you really care and you're a member of our community. Let's have a conversation. And most people don't do that. Sherae is really, really amazing at showing up genuinely and also like building connections. Sherae is an organizer working with coalitions in the city for Black lives and for sex workers and for drug users and for harm reduction for those communities. And like, that is why Sherae was endorsed by Nikita Oliver, because Sherae has shown up and therefore knows Nikita Oliver, because as you all know, you respect Nikita Oliver because she shows up. So one, that's why that endorsement says a lot, but like, I've seen that firsthand. And so because of that, I was watching what Sherae was up to and super excited when they announced that they were running for position 2 for the 43rd District State Rep in state of Washington. And when the Black Lives Matter stuff broke out here in... Brady's always scratching while I'm making videos. When the Black Lives Matter stuff sparked up here in Seattle, Sherae was on the ground at the protest, supporting people, giving speeches at City Hall. You can look, Sherae was there in the photos and the videos. And in the heat of all the protests, when I was getting tear gassed here at my apartment, Sherae was on the ground providing relief and support for the people in our communities. And when the CHOP broke out, Sherae was there providing support and relief for our communities. Sherae's been on the ground. And you can look at the timestamps of the tweets on Sherae's campaign Twitter, Sherae for State. And it was not active during a lot of that like initial time because Sherae was very busy on the ground, and that Twitter is run by volunteers. But the people that Sherae surrounds themselves with are also people who show up for our community. So they were also, guess what, very busy. And I think that that's really, really beautiful. That while other people might have been campaigning or crafting these like lovely messages about how much they care in order to like convince you that they care and you should vote for them, Sherae was like, I'm not going to make these messages. I'm very busy. Like, y'all can do what you want to do, but you can also see. I don't need to like make visuals for you to see that I care, because you can look with your eyes and see me on the ground. And I think that that is really, really powerful, and also switches the paradigm of what a politician should be. I recently had a lovely distanced chat with Sherae just last week, and we talked about like, as organizers, the way that we view running for office. And a lot of times we see voting for somebody as like, we're voting for who we want to be working against. So like, vote for the person you think you could convince. We got Joe Biden with that. The whole message right now is at least we can push him, you know, at least he can be convinced of things. At least we can maybe convince Joe Biden that our lives matter. And we don't think as organizers a lot of time that running for office is worth our time, because it takes a lot of energy. There's a lot of prejudices. You have to overcome so much, and then you get there and you're all caught up in like the politics of it all. And Sherae and I were talking about how it's super important and should be included in our organizing that organizers step into those roles, because they already have, if they're good organizers and deserve to be in those seats, they already have the connections to the organizations, the coalitions, the people in our communities that they are representing. it's people are like representatives, but they like don't have the connections to like be good representatives, and all they really communicate with us is like if we like clog their voicemails or like tag them on Twitter. And that's not like good representation. If you're an organizer, you have connections to these groups that are in the community, to people. Influencers is a good way to articulate it in our community who know people and can get out the message and get the message back to our representatives. And instead of visualizing like electeds as something separate that we have to organize against, imagining an elected position as a place for organizers. And I think Sherae and I both visualize ourselves in that role. For different reasons, we have come to that conclusion for ourselves, but we had a really good discussion about that. And I know that I don't know if I have ever met someone that I trust more to be in office. Sherae intimidates me because of the way that they organize, because they are so grounded in their community. I do not think it is possible for Sherae to like sacrifice us or sell us down the river. Sherae will never accept that, like a compromise that puts our lives on the line, you know? Sherae will always do the extra mile for the organizing, to whip the votes, to build connections, to do what needs to be done, to make sure that we get the solutions that we need for our communities. And I know that because we've seen that. Literally in the middle of this entire pandemic, in the Black Lives Matter uprising in Seattle, that is ongoing, Sherae got this law, I'm gonna butcher this whole thing, but Sherae got a municipal city law here in Seattle repealed in city council that had made prostitution and loitering illegal. So now, according to city code, those things are no longer illegal. Sherae was one of the leaders doing the organizing that got that done in a pandemic and a social uprising, while also doing organizing on the ground at the protests. Like, that is, and then when that victory happened, the way that Sherae celebrated, which we discussed, and they were like, that's always how I celebrate. What else am I going to do? Sherae went out and celebrated by going around the city and telling people about their new rights that they got for them. Like, when you care so much about your community and you're just in it, that's just life. You don't like put on your organizer hat. You just are living your life, communicating with people, communicating with your neighbors and caring about them. And therefore you are organizing because it just comes naturally. Like, that is a person that I strive to be. And I do think that I think we can all be better and constantly learn and improve. And it intimidates me to be, I don't know if Sherae considers us friends. I consider us friends, at least friendly acquaintances, I hope. And, like, to be in that close of proximity to someone with that strength and conviction and vision, is intimidating and so inspiring. And that's why I don't let my intimidation for Sherae stop me from, like, showing up, because it's so important and we're fighting for the same thing and I care. So that's why you should vote for Sherae. We're at almost 14 minutes of this video, so I'm gonna wrap up. Let me check my notes. Oh wait, I'm not wrapping up. I do at least have the scrapped outline of the video that I did not get to be super concise. Let's talk about the opponents. Jesse Murray. I've heard things. Okay, person in any other race, probably. We could always do better. But does not have the community organizing experience to truly be like as invested in our community as Sherae. Hasn't done as much work on the ground, doesn't have as many connections. I do not know enough about Jessie to say that she would not sell us down the river. But I can say 100% that I trust Sherae in office. So that's the difference. Frank Chop, in the meantime, the incumbent, screw Frank Chop. He's been in office for a long time, was even Speaker of the House for a while, and what did he do for you? Not to quote my own drag performance, but I know he used to donate stuff for you, but what has he done for you lately? Nothing. He didn't even become that progressive in his policies until literally a year ago. And that was because people started challenging him. So that's the kind of person Frank Chop is going to be in office. He's definitely going to be like the status quo. Like, we're going to have to work our butts off to convince Frank Chop to care. And we have enough people in elected seats across this country that we have to convince that we matter, that they should care about our communities, that they should, not let our communities suffer. And we don't need another one. So screw Frank Chop. He's out. And also, while I was saying that, I was just thinking, like, this is an experience. Our communities are suffering. This is a universal experience, and it shows up in many different ways. But from my hometown in Southern Oregon to where I am now, and the communities that I am privy to and the communities I am a part of here in Seattle, all suffer in different ways, and we all suffer at the hands of racialized capitalism. And you don't have to understand what that means, but let me tell you what, your community is not getting enough money, is it? Exactly. Because let me tell you, ain't nobody who's watching my videos from a community that's getting a lot of money. Actually, that's not true. I did somehow become friends with people who have rich parents. What the fuck? But even then, like, how rich are they? Or are they just rich in my mind because I came from such a poor place? Anyways, now we're sidetracked. Vote for Sherae. Don't vote for the other ones. Yep. I need help making graphics, by the way. If you want to make some Sherae for State graphics, just do it. Just make them. Make them in the style you want. Let's share them. I'll share every single one of them. I promise. Bye.